we're recording on the iPhone. Now we are recording on the iPad. So this is Amarakvati Murphy Lee with Councilmember Al Austin in Long Beach, California, in his office up here on Atlantic Street. And yeah, Al, how are you?
I'm doing well.
You doing well?
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's just start. How'd you get to Long Beach? How'd you did you grow up here? What's your experience here growing up?
Well, I didn't grow up in Long Beach.
Copy that.
I'm originally from Detroit.
Sorry, let me start the recording it. All right.
Yeah, I did. Unfortunately, I didn't grow up in Long Beach. I think it would have been a great place to grow up. I moved here from Detroit when I was 12 years old. My dad worked in the auto industry back in Michigan and in Detroit. Got a better opportunity to work as a manager in the aircraft manufacturing industry here, McDonnell Douglas. So we moved the family here. We lived in that Holiday Inn on Lakewood and Willow for a little over a month or so, and we found a home and ended up moving back to Long Beach right after high school. And I kind of followed my dad into the workforce at McDonnell Douglas as an aerospace worker at the age of 18, so right out of high school.
Okay.
Had a great job, and I haven't really looked back. Fell in love with Long Beach. Been in the city pretty much every day since.
What motivated you to get into politics from your Boeing, your other job?
So, politics has been, I guess, close to me and my family since I was a young kid, as far back as I can remember. My grandfather was a public administrator for the county, Wayne County in Detroit, and his brother was the Secretary of State of Michigan. He ran for mayor, was involved in politics, so he was an elected official. So my great uncle was really an inspiration for me. He went on to become like the longest serving black statewide elected official. There's all kind of firsts that he did and accomplished. And growing up with a figure like that in my family was really inspiring. So I was always kind of taught from a early age that public service was noble and necessary. I was inspired by, icons like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. Social justice, civil rights were very important to me. And so I guess, those seeds were planted early on. Rosa Parks was my grandfather's neighbor. We lived across the street, and so I was exposed to civil rights icon at a very young age. So when I got into the workforce, I started seeing things that weren't right. I was never bashful about speaking up.
Oh, okay.
And slowly but surely, kind of things started happening. And I want to say about 5 years in, I got approached to run for an office within the union, right? And that kind of kicked off.
Understood.
My interest in, I guess, my journey into politics.
That's very cool to hear that seed planted and then have it grow within you and get nurtured. Yeah. And in your time in the union, how was that?
Well, still in it.
Copy that.
Yeah. So I started out as a rank and file worker, got elected, obviously was trained to do, representation, health and safety. I was an administrative assistant to the president, communications kind of liaison, and then after about 13 and a half years, I transitioned and went to work for a state senator in Los Angeles, where I worked for him for about four and a half years. as his district representative. So it gave me great experience. So coming from, the shop floor where I did political action in the community, but then I transitioned into a state senator's office. I was always involved in like local clubs, young Democrats, and political campaigns. It kind of made sense.
You were active and you were
Right.
That's good. You and Rex seem to share a lot in common. Let me pull up my questions here. I had a great question from Rex, and it was something about the old guard. You, Steven, and Rex, you both, I think it was Steve, correct? That inspired you and motivated you to become.
No, I recruited Steve to run
You
for
recruited
office.
Steve.
Yes.
You recruited Steve.
I recruited Steve Neal to run for the 9th District. I gave Rex his first job out of college. I recruited Rex out of college.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Get the history right.
I'm working on it, sir. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But you, was it the
Steve Neal was working with the LA County Federation of Labor.
Mm-hmm.
He was supposed to run for state assembly in Compton, North Long Beach, Compton area.
Yeah.
And that kind of fell through when Miguel Contreras, who was the head of the LA County Federation of Labor, when he unexpectedly passed away. Steve's kind of plans were altered. And so I've been approached to run in the 9th District.
Okay.
I had been approached to run in the 9th District, and I had a young family. I think my youngest son was maybe less than 1. We had a newborn. Mm-hmm. We were doing work on our home. We were just establishing my family, and it would have required me to move a few blocks north. Mm-hmm. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna go and approach Steve and encourage him to run, right? And it took some back and forth, some arm twisting, and so Steve finally decided to run, but he still had some other obligations. And so he ran and ended up losing that election by about 100 votes, right?
Yeah.
Or less.
Yeah.
And, he probably didn't sleep well for, a couple years after that. And so 4 years later, he ran again and was successful in winning the seat in the 9th District in North Long Beach.
And then that was in 2000. I want to say 2011 or 2012, correct? Or was it 2008?
No, Steve got elected in 2010.
2010.
Right.
And then that's when I believe Rex said that council members were starting to what is the word? They could move out of the district, the 6th district, right, and start running for other districts and representing those. No.
Well, I think what we're getting to is traditionally the 6th district was the black seat.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yes.
That was the area where we know that there's the voting population, the demographics were more suited for an African American or black person to get elected.
Okay.
We kind of changed that paradigm because it starts looking at the shift. Said, looking at the demographics in North Long Beach, it's possible, very possible, because there was a missing voice, right? There was, from a standpoint of values, but also political ideology. And, so Steve was successful in obviously second attempt getting elected for the seat in 2010. I ran for council for the first time in the 6th district. It was in 2006, 2007. Mm-hmm. It was a special election. The councilwoman at the time was Laura Richardson, who got elected to state assembly, and they created a special election in the 6th district. Because of my relationship with the councilwoman at the time, and I guess my just body of work, I was approached to run for the seat. I had to establish residency in the 6th district. Right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Were you not staying there at the time, or?
I did establish residency in the 6th district.
Copy that. Okay.
And I look back, that's probably, I don't have any regrets because I learned a lot, right? Learned a lot about, the great diversity of the city of Long Beach, the people, the Khmer culture, the fact that, we have this amazing tapestry of residents here, a lot who couldn't even communicate with one another. Like, you would go and knock on the door and I would have to have a Khmer interpreter, and then knock on the next door, have to have a Spanish interpreter. It was just that it was a great experience. I came up short. I lost that special election by a little over 40 votes. I think 44 votes to D. Andrews, who went on to serve that district for, I want to say, close to 14 years. A long time. I learned a lot. Lost sleep. If you lose an election by under 100 votes, you scratch your head to wonder what I could have done differently, and there were several things that could have been done differently. So I felt like I was a seasoned campaigner. I went on to, I would say, hone in my craft, particularly campaigns throughout the state, throughout the country, and I want to say somewhere around 2011, the councilwoman, who was Ray Gablich in the 8th district, she was terming out. She approached me and asked me to consider running. She thought that, my background, my ability to understand politics in the city and campaigns would put me in a good position to win the seat. And everybody told me when I told them that I was considering it, that I was crazy. Oh, no, there's no way. Black person never represented the 8th district, right? That's Bixby Knolls, it's Los Cerritos, Virginia Country Club. I also included about half of North Long Beach, right?
Yeah.
But there was a segment of the district that really had not been worked, right? Engaged. Okay. And so we figured out, well, we can win this seat if we approach the election a little differently, right? And having a person of color on the ballot for the first time ever in this district was inspiring to a lot of people. Like, wait a minute, we do have a voice. Wait a minute.
Yeah. 2011.
It is possible.
Yeah.
And so, lo and behold, by the way, my opponent, Lillian Kawasaki, who was also not necessarily, she was a minority as well, Japanese woman who I had a great deal of respect for. She's no longer with us. She's deceased now. She was a friend at the time as well. So, but she kind of focused her energy, in the traditional areas where she thought the votes were. Los Cerritos, Bixby Knolls, and she just did not come north of Delamo whatsoever. And so that was just all mine.
Oh, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and then we ran a robust field operation as well to pull that off. But so election day comes, I have my opponent has all the endorsements in the world, the chamber, the mayor, the congress member, the former mayor, the everybody, the establishment against, this guy who they thought there's no way he can win. It's an area that's traditionally more conservative. Nobody of color has ever been on staff, let alone represented the district. There's just no way. Well, we pulled it off first ballot, and we ended up. I think I ended up getting 50. There were 3 candidates on that ballot, and I won outright the first time in the primary. Shocked Long Beach. It was like, what just happened here? And I will just say I did have significant amount of community support, but also support from labor, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm a union member, right? So it made a lot of sense. And so I appreciated that. We put together a robust field operation, and I think that started something really, really special here in the city of Long Beach.
I've seen the city change, growing up. It's interesting watching just people go outside more. It's just, it's cool seeing the, all the, life, I guess, is how you would describe it, this active lifestyle, but that's...
We like to... I like to frame it as our community being more vibrant, more livable. I've done research, we've done surveys, engagement, and one thing that people love most about Long Beach is its diversity, right?
Yeah.
They love their neighbors. They love the fact that, they can go and it's an international city. You can eat just about any type of food you want to eat.
Yeah, we have Cambodian New Year tomorrow.
Right.
We've got a lot of stuff going on out here. It's very rad. All right. Let's see. You sort of went through it, but do you want to talk about the process of starting a campaign? Or is that...
Well, campaigns are rough and they're not easy.
Copy that.
Yeah. I like to consider... I like to I consider campaigns to be similar to like a training camp for athletics, right?
Yeah.
It's like boot camp. You got to go in and it's a grind. You don't get a lot of sleep. You got to put yourself through the ringer. You got to put yourself out there. You have to engage people in a way that isn't always comfortable.
Yeah.
Either for the candidate or even for the person that you're engaging, because not everybody is used to somebody knocking on their door and asking them their opinion or asking for their support one way or another. I have no fear in terms of knocking on the door and talking to people. But the campaign can be very, very taxing. And they've gotten worse over the years.
How have they gotten worse?
I would just say the decorum. The fact that, the decorum. I would say the ethics of truth.
Oh, that's a big one.
Right?
Yeah.
Before it was about... I can remember my very first campaign. It was more about ideas and connection to the residents, talking about issues that connected to them and that they cared about. Today, campaigns are more about just framing somebody's image and how much money you can raise and and even the dark side of social media and even the texting. You can't believe everything you read because at the last minute, 3 or 4 days before the election, there's the Zenders that are going to come and to purposely mislead oftentimes voters. And so I really have a disdain for that type of politics. But the campaigns, you have to build a good team around you. You have to have but before that, you have to be convicted as an individual to really want to make a difference, right? I really believe, and I interview candidates all the time with my day job, but like, okay, why are you running? And what do you want to do? And what are you trying to accomplish? If it's just to be an elected official, it's not, that's going to be concerning,
Understood.
right? You know,
Yeah.
that's borderline narcissism, right?
Yeah. I just want to be.
Yeah, I want to be somebody.
Yeah, I want
right?
to be somebody.
Right.
With no goals.
Right.
Jeez.
You know, what do you want to accomplish, right? Do you want to?
That seems like an obvious thing like a goal to have when you pursue a career in politics.
Well,
You just want,
most people are inspired by something, right?
Right. Yeah. Like for anything.
Right. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, you know what, that thing right there is bugging me, and I wanna fix it.
Exactly.
And nobody's listening, right?
Yeah.
We had a council member who ran, and it was her whole platform was getting a stoplight.
Okay.
She was a PTA mom and rallied the other moms around a stoplight, and then they realized, hey, you're a leader. Maybe you should try running for city council. But my predecessor, her sole issue was, airport noise, right? And doing something to mitigate airport noise. That bugged enough people that made her a viable candidate, and it helped her get elected. For me, it was jobs, right?
Jobs out here.
Middle class jobs.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right.
Helping. I lived. I guess my trauma as a young kid was watching my neighborhood in Detroit transform. Right.
Okay.
Because we lived in Detroit, where I would say most folks worked in the auto industry or connected to the automobile industry one way or another. There was an American Motors plant, like walking distance from my home. We had my dad worked for Chrysler, my uncle worked for Ford, my neighbor across the street worked for GM. It was just what folks did. And so when the auto industry started declining in the mid to late 70s, mass layoffs started happening, right? You had that and people coming back from Vietnam. And so I saw my neighborhood go from a cool middle class neighborhood that was as diverse as it gets in Detroit, black and white. The white people moved out.
Okay, I'll do that.
They started cutting down the trees.
They took the trees away.
The grass started growing higher in the park around the corner. And you just saw the quality of life deteriorate in the neighborhood, go from a middle-class neighborhood to something that's less desirable. Homes started being boarded up. And so for me, it was, I don't ever want to see that again. And I want to fight to make sure that, my kids have the same opportunities or better than I had, right? And so the jobs component in the city of Long Beach, I started reliving that again as an aerospace worker, right? My job, I told you we got elected, and part of my role was to print out the RIF list, the reduction in force list. There's the layoff list.
Okay.
And so we went from a place where like 40,000 plus workers, and we're literally seeing several hundred people getting laid off every other week, right? And so there again, I'm like, well, I don't want to see Long Beach turn it. And so that started my activism as a young person. And then later on, it's kind of always been my internal flame, right? Like the thing that pushes me the most is, fighting for and being a champion for good middle class jobs and working families.
Okay. I've seen the city change under the past few years with all of your influence. So I think, yeah.
Well, I really wish we would have been able to save those thousands of, jobs at Boeing. But I think we're kind of redefining ourselves as a city. We've done a good job. The port has kind of grown and kind of replaced a lot of what was happening in the aerospace industry. I think our medical field has grown, replaced a lot of those voids created by the loss of jobs there, and obviously some of the new development around where the former Boeing plant was is helping with our economic development and jobs as well. I still think we're far behind. We still have a deficit, and we need to continue to work there toward creating jobs. But the economy's changed a lot. I mean, it's more of a service sector. It's more of a more people are working teleworking, and we're not as manufacturing driven as we used to be when I entered the workforce. So
yeah, okay. How are you feeling
I feel good.
Yeah, all right, cool.
I'm just having a conversation.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about your mentors and allies?
I had a lot of mentors. Wow.
Your grandfather and your uncle.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
what about
they were larger than life. My father as well. My father was, he was the guy that carried on a lot of those lessons that they taught him, and he made sure to instill in me those values. I can remember like yesterday. My dad is no longer with us. He passed away a couple years ago. But
what was your father's name?
Same as mine. I'm the second.
You're the copy that.
Yeah. He's Al Austin II. But he was a hardworking guy. His work ethic was unmatched. I saw my dad get up every morning, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and off to work. He wore a white shirt and a tie to work every day. Came home after 10, 12 hours. He was back at it the next day. He wasn't as involved in my life as I would say. He didn't go to my baseball practices and my football practices and things of that nature. That was just, he was focused on work and providing for the family. He did his best, but he would always, and he taught me a lot about corporate America too, and just making it in how to survive and how to make it, because he was one of very few blacks in his position in management at the level that he had been. He was at both at Chrysler and at McDonnell Douglas, and so in Boeing. Later he retired as an executive. But he was really an emphasis on stickler on education and making sure that there were no shortcuts, right? It's like no shortcuts. If you take shortcuts, you're going to fall off, right? You're not going to get the full experience. You're not going to be able to sustain if you take shortcuts. And so I'll never forget that. I mean, those are values that are very, very important to me. And among other many other lessons, my dad imparted upon me. So he was a great mentor. I had the privilege of carpooling with him to work for a few years, and would learn about organizational dynamics and
he taught you. Yeah, he was. Okay.
Just giving me game about politics. Yeah. Politics is everywhere, right? It's not just Democrat, Republican, or what you see on the campaign trail. It's part of our just daily functionality, right? He taught me quite a bit, and you had to be a bit of a politician to be able to climb a corporate ladder, right?
Yeah.
The way he did, right? Building an organization, and there were a number of folks who were loyal to him in the organization. There was information sources.
Oh yeah.
that he had that he could tap into to stay ahead of the game. So he kind of taught me a lot about that, and then he was a real I would say, connoisseur, or he was really, really deep into kind of management theory, right?
Management theory. Okay.
And leadership and motivating people. And so, I learned a lot from my dad. He was my big, I would say the biggest mentor in my life, because he was accessible, and I've had hundreds and hundreds of hours of conversation with him over years.
Did he expect you to go? Did he think you were going to go into politics, or?
Ironically, the politics started. I just mentioned my dad was in management at Boeing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I went into the union side, and we both have the same name. So it did create a little bit of chaos in the family. Made for interesting Thanksgiving dinners sometimes. But I think he respected the fact that I wanted to be my own person, and that I was always true to my beliefs and values, right? Values that he and my mom had a big part of instilling, right? But I think he thought that I'd go to college and I kind of follow his footsteps, and he'd be able to help pave the way for me to go into some sort of corporate environment, be a leader in management for the company or a company. But yes, he was very proud of me, because I kind of made my own way, created my own path, and I guess resulted in me being a leader in my own right? So
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I don't think he actually moved away from Detroit, because he wanted to show that he could do it on his own without the influence of a family name. Our family name was pretty prominent in Detroit, right?
Okay.
And he had that.
Why was it prominent?
Well, I just told you, my statewide elected official.
Okay. Yes, you did. All right, so I just
Detroit. They were pioneers in politics there at the time, and so everything that he accomplished, he felt like he wasn't sure if it was for his family name or whether or not it was on his own merit. And so part of coming to California was twofold. He wanted to make sure that he could create a better situation and future for his children, me being the oldest, and that he could kind of show that, hey, dad, uncle, family, I can do this too. Right. Yeah, so I get that. I kind of did the same thing, right?
Okay. Well, what about allies that you made in Long Beach? Any mentors from Long Beach that were just
Yeah, lots of folks. Early on, Jenny Orpesa, former state senator, former state assembly members, former city council member, school board member. I was helpful to her. I met her early on when she was a school board member and first running for city council in Long Beach. We became close friends. I mentioned Councilwoman, former assembly member, Congresswoman Laura Richardson, and I worked on her campaigns, and she became a close friend. My wife ended up, working on her staff for many years. I think about when I first really got involved in Long Beach. I was like the youngest guy in the room, with a number of our black leaders here, who were convening a group of folks, just to talk about the state of affairs in black politics in Long Beach, right? And at the time, we weren't doing so well. We had one seat. I think what we did, we had a school board member, we had a city council member, and I think there might have been a community college trustee, right? But part of the conversation was, it looks like we're losing ground, we're losing numbers, and what are we going to do to build for the future? at the time, I didn't think I was going to be a city council member, right? Just, I was just
there.
I was just activist, young person, making the coffee, taking the notes, printing copies.
Yeah.
But the giants in that room, I think back, how blessed I was to just work with these individuals or to see them operate. Some are still alive, and many have passed on. It was the NAACP president, Ed Douglas. His wife is Dr. Minnie Douglas. Josh White, he was an early mentor. He was a guy that kind of got my phone number and would call me and push me and tell me to be at this meeting and be at that meeting. Josh he moved away and I think has passed on, but he was a real titan for like Democratic politics locally, and was a big supporter of mine. Somebody who just pushed me. He saw something in me that I don't know, I didn't see maybe in myself. I knew that I wanted to be involved, and that's why I was involved. But I didn't see myself necessarily as an elected official. Well, maybe I did. I always thought I was going to run for Congress one day when I was a little kid. But I want to thank Bobby Smith, who was a school board member, now has a school named after her. Trustin Laughlin, Pat Laughlin, Ahmed Safir, Oscar Edwards. Yeah, I think I know I'm missing somebody, but these folks were just available, and again, I was the young guy in the room who, was a little out of place because of my kind of just generation, just being there, but what I learned and the conversations that I had, and I can go back, I still have like documents from those meetings and minutes from those meetings.
Yeah. Oh, please.
Yeah.
Yes.
I found a box a couple weeks ago cleaning out a closet, and I was like, wow, man, this goes way back.
Yo.
Yeah. Like this is like the mid '90s, and so from there we kind of developed some strategies and plans to run people in different areas of the city, and from there, from those early conversations, it was like, well, we need to be looking at North Long Beach.
Oh,
right?
Copy. Okay.
We need to be looking at North Long Beach. We need to be looking at the West Side. We need to be looking at other areas, and it wasn't just to obviously to create, African American Black political power. But it was also just to advance the issues that were not only unique to our community, but so many other communities of color, right? And I think we ended up doing some good work. And, literally at one point on the city council, when I got elected, we literally had 3 African Americans, men, on the city council at one time, which was really punching way beyond our weight class when you look at the African American population in Long Beach being about 12%. Right? We represented 30% or 33% of the city council, right?
Yeah.
Votes.
Yeah.
So that was a significant moment, I think, in our city's history, and it showed that we had politically figured out something, right? And then from that, other communities started saying, "Hey, wait a minute, we can do this too."
Yes.
Right, and I do have some history with working with our Latino brothers and sisters, as well as our Cambodian communities on political education, but also activism as well. So, like to think that I've had something to do with the changing landscape in the city of Long Beach.
Copy that, Al.
Betty Carnett was a big
Betty.
Senator Betty Carnett.
It's good that you have so many friends and you have so many people that have inspired you. Like, I can't remember it.
Yeah.
It's good. No, that's it.
Alan Lowenthal. Had a good friend, Eric Bradley, who's no longer with us, but he was enormous in terms of just my political development.
How so?
Well, he was just a great friend, and we had long conversations, and we strategized on how to win, and we won. We did a lot of winning in the city of Long Beach. I left out the point that I think after working with some of our leaders, I got together with some young folks. Right, there was black political empowerment, but also there was. I told you I was the youngest person in the room, and oftentimes, your voice isn't as strong when you're the youngest person in the room. And so I got together collectively with a number of other young-minded, interested folks, and we started the Long Beach Young Democratic Club, right? So you may have heard of Long Beach Young Democrats. That was started in 1997, right? I organized that with my good friend at the time, John Harlan, who's now a deputy DA. And we had a meeting that started out with about 10 or 15 folks and grew that club to over 100 strong. And we became a political force in the city in terms of campaign operations. So like everybody, to get elected into a seat, you wanted to have the support of that club because we brought youth and vibrancy and field and energy to campaigns that had not had that type of energy before. And that's when I say we figured out how to win. We started winning, and then we started running our members, right? Like Suja Lowenthal for city council, and Dan Baker, who was a city council member, and it just kind of goes on and on. School board, city council, and so there was dual track. I had my community, and then I had my club, and we were rolling. And then it all came together when I decided I wanted to run for office. After some years, a lot of that work, I would say 10, 15 years of work prior to, kind of paid off because I had natural support bases. I had natural kind of volunteer bases. I had established myself here in the city of Long Beach, and was able to pull it up. I was developing people behind me, to come behind me. The Rex Richardsons, the Udawak Intooks.
The Rex Richardsons.
Yeah. I mean, it's true. We work together on many respects, and that's part of our history.
Can you tell me about the old guard? I don't know what that is in regards to North Long Beach politics.
I don't know who gave you the old guard. I know where I can guess where you heard that term from, but the old guard probably came from Rex.
Yes, that's okay. That's exactly where it came from. Yeah.
So when he refers to the old guard, I think he talks about the changing of political dynamics with the introduction of Steve Neal into the city council in North Long Beach.
All right.
The old guard, per se, I think was it was a group of folks, and they had a number of different organizations. They made up what the past demographics of North Long Beach were, right? Okay. In terms of power dynamics too. There wasn't a lot of folks of color involved, right? Yeah. The mindset was more neighborhood preservation and protectionism.
Oh, okay.
Right? The new way of thinking, I think, was okay. We're getting younger. We're recognizing that there are lots of new people moving into this community. We're getting more diverse. We need to be speaking a different language to motivate folks to get involved in their communities. And so there was a bit of tension, right? When Steve first took office, his candidacy, let alone him for taking office, my candidacy in taking office, there was tension, early on the first couple of years because there was a little bit of skepticism whether or not, these guys, they're coming with different kind of power dynamics. We were coming with labor support. That labor had not been playing in Long Beach the way they do now.
Oh.
And I would say that Steve and I kind of started something different with that, right? And you see today that is a strong. It's a strong base of support to have, and almost a necessary support to have to win an election in Long Beach today. Before, that wasn't the case, right? It was very different.
Why do you think that is? Like, what is it like? People. Is it like is it the like you motivating to like reaching out to them?
Well, I think it's messaging. Again, we're talking about working family values.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
More inclusion. We want to be more inclusive in decision making.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
When you come to a meeting, everybody's welcome. Your opinion is valued. Let me figure out how to get you involved and not necessarily keep you out.
Yeah.
Right?
Sorry, that all seems like obvious stuff to me. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a different kind of vibe, different type of leadership, a leadership style, and approach that was different for North Long Beach.
Oh, okay.
It was very, very insular and
yes.
and again we were breaking glass ceilings and barriers when we took office and assumed leadership.
Copy that. Sorry, just go over my question, sir.
Part of, I'll just give you this example.
Sure.
I know when Steve took office, when I took office, and by the way, there was really no air between us, right? We were like kind of locked in terms of the vision that we saw for North Long Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Steve Neal and I, and then later Rex, right? There's never been, hey, we have a different opinion or different ideology about where North Long Beach is going, right? We've always been locked in on that, like aligned. It was, we knew we needed to double down to get the city to make North Long Beach relevant, right? Because at the time, there was actually a mayor that considered, letting North Long Beach go.
Oh.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That was part of a conversation in the past. The North Long Beach was patrolled by the sheriff's department instead of Long Beach PD.
Yes.
For many years, and so several years, and so it was always seen as an annex or a kind of like an afterthought in Long Beach. Our mindset, and when you say old guard, the new guard, we were like, hey, listen, we're going to make, and that was part of my platform. I'm running to make North Long Beach relevant, right? Together, we're going to make North Long Beach relevant. I think we've done that, accomplished that part. I mean, there's a fair amount of resources being dedicated to North Long Beach. There are major plans in the pipeline for North Long Beach. When we speak up on the city council, it's people are paying attention now. We have leadership positions now, right?
Yeah.
We've got a mayor now, but prior to that, I chaired the budget committee, which is a powerful position on the city council where you get to have a lot of influence on how resources are being directed. And so we've been able to do a lot of infrastructure work, fix streets, repair streets, build new parks, and much, much more, right? For the area. Those plans, those weren't part of the plan before, right?
Yeah.
This was the renaissance that we sought to create for North Long Beach. I really wish I would have been able to do more in the 12 years that I've been in office, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've seen deliberate progress and I know much more is coming, and so I'm proud of the work that we've been able to do for our residents. So when I talk about running with a purpose, my purpose, I think I would say 85% of it or 90% of it has been accomplished, right? Most of what I ran my first term to do, I've been able to accomplish, if not all. We've had new issues pop up over the time that I've been in office, like homelessness. That wasn't what it is today. The mental health crisis that we have wasn't what it is today. And so I think just dynamics of a city, running a city, governance, it's a constantly evolving situation that you can't necessarily plan for and always foresee what's going to happen tomorrow. Nobody saw COVID happening.
Yeah.
Right?
You weren't ready for COVID?
No, I was not ready for COVID. That was a major experience, man. And I'm happy to say that we survived it.
We all,
right?
yeah.
Not everybody, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to those who didn't. We'll never forget them.
Yeah.
But when we say survived, from a governance standpoint, it was chaotic. It was a chaotic time, to say the least. And I think that's an understatement.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about
The COVID?
Yeah, the COVID.
The COVID era?
The COVID era.
There was no, understand this, in our lifetime, or maybe in the last 100 years, there's nothing that you can say, or there's nothing that you can look at to say, okay, so how do you plan for and prepare for this type of event?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so it happened, and we had to come together on a micro level and macro level, right? And more, I'm proud of what we did as a city, right? To figure out how to deal with this crisis. We came out of it, I think, pretty well. We had good team, a great team in City Hall. But I had a great team here in the district, just coordinating and making sure resources were going where they needed to go, food drives, making sure that families were not failing during that period of time. I think we fared pretty well comparatively.
It was a chaotic.
And we're still recovering.
And we're still exactly. We're still in the fallout of that. So crazy. So were there any like specific major projects in the city, like that's when you were on the council that you're like proud of, or like?
Sure. I got elected in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
I was working and I was sworn in the old City Hall building, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I've seen our downtown really transform during my time in office. I took a big leap with the rest of my colleagues, and we approved a new City Hall building, and that's standing today. A new library downtown, that's standing today. And so many significant projects across the city. When folks say, okay, I've seen the city of Long Beach change a lot in the last 10 years, I'm proud to see that, right? Because every bit of it I've had a vote in and had a say in, right? In the last 12 years of the development of the city. So to the extent we've been successful there, I'll take that. Well, I have to take the shortfalls as well, right? Mm-hmm. here in my district, I've been able to just in my tenure see 44 acres of new park space developed in the 8th district alone, right? There's not many cities that have been able to develop that much green space in a city, let alone a council district. And so I'm very proud of that. We know that North Long Beach is a park poor area of the city, right? And so creating green space, whether it be passive green space or active green space for families, for kids, for individuals to enjoy serenity and just the outdoor life. And it made a big difference during COVID, believe it or not, to have that extra green space for people to get out and just be sane, right? So I'm proud of that. We passed Measure A. That was a major. I had a big voice in that because infrastructure needs. Our streets crumbling, sidewalks, alleys were unacceptable, right? And many areas are still unacceptable. But we have plans over the next 5 years to, I think, fix most of that. But over the last, 7 to 8 years, we've been able to do so much in the city, in my district, to turn things around. I've seen neighborhoods transform, right? On my watch. This neighborhood wasn't so cool before. Now it's now it's a desirable community, right? I've seen business corridors transform. Bixby Knolls was not as cool as it is today, right? Even 10 years ago.
I know.
Right?
I know.
Right? Yeah. So I've had a hand in, I think, a lot of just positive change here in the city, particularly here in the north side, that, I'm proud of the work that we've been able to do. And I've had a great team of individuals who have worked their tails off, put their heart and soul into the work. And I think, I don't say I did it alone. I've had a lot of good organizations, but also individuals who have shared a vision and a dream and a commitment to turn things around. So we've been able to do quite a bit.
That's a great answer. You're proud of Northside. That's a good one. Aww.
Well, I want residents to be proud of the Northside.
I mean,
if you understand Long Beach, you understand that Long Beach is made up of neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Everybody tells you about what neighborhood they live in.
Yeah.
Right? So part of our agenda when we talk about making North Long Beach relevant was when we took office, everything north of Del Amo was just North Long Beach, right? So now you probably have I can name off about 20 different neighborhood groups, but neighborhood designations now that we have today that we didn't have 10 years ago, right? In my district alone, what we have? We have Country Club Manor. We have the Ridgewood Heights, Ridgewood Triangle, Ridgewood Cove, Jackson Park, Lindbergh Circle.
Yeah, Lindbergh Circle. Lindbergh Circle.
Yeah, no, these are neighborhood groups, right? That actually exist. North Village, Virginia Village. These are designations. People now know I live in this area, right? I live in this area of North Long Beach. And then you go along, you got Coolidge Park. You have the Forest. You have...
the Forest. Yeah.
Coolidge, Longwood neighborhood. You have the College Park. You have so many different neighborhoods now, and they're active and they're involved and they're speaking as a community, and they come together to solve problems with their council representatives, but also city staff. So it gave by creating that type of organization, right? Creating these designations, it made it easier to govern, right?
Oh, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm so-and-so and my streets are blah, 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 right? They're calling the office. You live where? North Long Beach. Today, hi, I'm so-and-so and I live in Jackson Park. and this is the problem. Oh, I got a orientation of where Jackson Park is, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
And you're not speaking necessarily for yourself. I know that if you're in Jackson Park now, I can call a meeting and pull 20, 30 residents together, and we can work collectively to problem solve. And oftentimes I've learned too, it's that one-off phone call, and you might go and solve that problem and piss off the rest of the neighbors.
Oh, okay.
Right? Because they may not feel the same way, right?
Yeah.
So you have to figure out how to build consensus around issues to get things done. So that's really important.
Okay.
We probably went off topic, but
No, we didn't. That's great. I love hearing about Northside. I think we've gone through most of my questions, sir. Is there anything else you would like to mention or talk about, or?
no, it's just. I mean, I feel like we could probably talk for 2 hours.
We should. Let's do it. I want to.
We could probably talk for 2 hours. I've got work to do as well today, but I've enjoyed the conversation, and I like talking about Long Beach. I love talking about our history. I love talking about North Long Beach in particular, where we've been and where we're going as a community. I plan on staying involved. I'll term out the end of this year.
Yes. Yeah.
And pass the torch to the next city council member coming in. Like I said, I plan on hopefully being a resource.
Yeah. What else are you? What are you thinking about doing? Like right after, or are you just gonna relax for a bit and just?
I'm never gonna relax. That's just not in my DNA.
Oh, okay.
To relax, but I'd look forward to stepping away from the city council and gaining some clarity, being a private citizen for a little bit.
Yeah.
I still have a very demanding day job with the work that I do, as a political and legislative director for a union, and so I'll be involved no matter what. Yeah. But that said, I'm looking at some new opportunities as well.
Okay.
I'm literally when I'm not on the city council, and then when that point comes, I am going to have to figure out how to make up for a lot of time, right, and energy. Yeah. And so I'm looking forward to some new opportunities.
Yeah, that energy doesn't go away.
Yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it's just like, okay, what do I do now?
Exactly. That's so. We're similar.
I don't rule off running for office in the future.
Oh, okay.
But obviously, I won't be on the city council.
Okay. Yeah. Well, all right. Well, once again, I think we're good. Once again, this is Amarakvati Murphy Lee. On what date is today? It's April 5th, 2024 in Long Beach, California, with Councilmember Al Austin, and we're concluding our session. Thanks, everyone.
All right.
Bye-bye.